Hey everyone, my name is Taryn and thank you so much for stopping by my channel today, Nicole Flower House. I grow cut flowers in Zone 7B in North Carolina. Today I just wanted to talk about a few things that I'm working on during this off season or this period of time where I'm kind of in waiting while I'm at my apartment while my husband and I are waiting to move into our new house in the spring. It's really hard not to get super carried away and plant a bunch of seeds, but I've planted a few things like lisianthus and slow-growing perennials. I've started some yarrow and some feverfew. A few things that I am able to work on right now are planning things out. The first thing that I'm working on is that I'm going through rebranding. I'm changing the name of my business from Nicole Flower House to Birdhouse Blooms. I'm going to be working on making that change on YouTube after this video posts, so that will be coming soon. And I just took the opportunity that since I'm moving to a new space that's a lot smaller and a lot different than I was in before, my business is going to be changing a little bit, and I just really wanted a fresh start. So I'm changing the name. It's inspired by a few things. The first thing is that it's a little more practical. And I don't know if anyone's ever wondered why my channel is currently called Nicole Flower House. One of the main reasons I chose that is because my first name is Taryn and my middle name is Nicole. And Nicole is a nickname I had when I was very young. My grandmother used to call me that. So that is why I used Nicole as my channel name and as my business name. A big reason for that is because my name is somewhat difficult to spell, and it can be challenging for people to understand when I'm speaking what my name is. I can't tell you how many people think my name is either Karen or, because of the business, Nicole. So I just wanted to move away from using a name in my business name. Now, the name Birdhouse was inspired by my love of birds in nature and wildlife in the garden. And also, it's a reflection of how I grow my flowers. I don't use any pesticides or sprays or chemicals, even the organic ones. And that is because I do want a healthy population of garden pests in the garden. And that is to feed the birds. I like feeding the birds. I love inviting them into my garden. It is a core principle of how I grow my flowers. So that is reflected in the name. And I'm going to put a picture up on the screen of the hummingbird that inspired my logo. And I'll put a picture up also of the new logo. So that's really awesome. I'm really excited to switch over to the new name, Birdhouse Blooms. Also, I kind of feel like our screened porch on the back of our new house just reminds me of like a tree house or a birdhouse feel, just because it's kind of elevated and we have trees behind us, and it's just a really neat, cozy little space, and it reminds me of a birdhouse, and I think it's a good representation of my new growing space. So that is the first thing I'm working on. So I've been taking this time to work on getting all my paperwork filed with the state for my registration of a new business name and my bank accounts and my wholesale accounts and all the things that come along with changing your name, my website domain, and all of that. So I'm glad to be doing that now when it's not a busy season for me. The second thing I'm working on is my garden plan of what plants I want and where I'm going to plant them. I've included a lot of perennials in the new plan. I have peonies, and I said I wasn't going to do roses, but I did a few. I got a few roses. I couldn't help myself. I'm also going to have baptisia and sedum and phlox. Lisianthus are actually perennial in my zone, so I'm considering those perennial. And I also added a lot of what's called broadleaf evergreens. So unlike your typical evergreen like pine or Fraser fir or cypress or juniper, things like that, I wanted some broadleaf evergreens. So I'm going to have a lot of boxwood and also privet. And it's a variety of privet called kindly, which is supposed to be non-invasive. So I really miss the kind of broadleaf greenery in the very early spring when I'm trying to do tulips and Mother's Day. So that is why I chose those perennial shrubs to go into the new garden space. I'm also planning for the usual annual staples in my garden, like sunflowers, zinnias, cosmos. I'm not going to be able to have early spring stuff this year, but I will be planting snapdragons and bachelor buttons and all the cool flowers later in the summer so that I can have them overwinter this fall. I'm still going to plan on ranunculus and anemones and dahlias and tulips and all of those things, but not for this season, for next season. But I do have to plan the spots out so I know where I'm going to put them. Having a pre-planned space for everything is really important. Since I have such limited space, I'm not going to have the luxury of just throwing things in where I can find a spot because there aren't very many spots. I'm also going to plant 2 rows along the side of our house of hellebore and astilbe mixed together. Those 2 things tolerate shade, so that is a perfect place for them since the houses are spaced kind of close together, so that area is narrow. It doesn't get hardly any sun, but I'm going to take full advantage of that growing space as well with the hellebore and astilbe. Along with the roses and peonies in the front, I'm also going to have my winter berries. Have no fear if you were worried about me not having winterberry. I already have those plants. I actually purchased a lot of shrubs last year, and I've kept a lot of them. Well, I wouldn't say a lot. I've kept as many as I could, and they are currently in little nursery pots that they came in out on my patio in the apartment growing on. So I'll be able to have those plants ready to go when we get to the new house. And again, those are winterberry. I have, I'm not sure if I have any berry heavy. Those are really big plants with the red berries, but I have berry heavy gold. And then I also have berry poppins, which is the red berries, but it's a smaller plant. And then I also have the male pollinator plants called Mr. Poppins. So I will have those. As far as the dahlias are concerned, I'm going to have 2 32-foot long rows of dahlias right in the middle of the garden. They're going to get the best spot, and I can't wait to showcase them, of course, because they are my favorite, and I love dahlias. I already have a lot of varieties ordered. I will share that with you in a later video, but of course, dahlias will still be the queen of my fall garden. But I'm also adding some heirloom chrysanthemums to the mix, so I will have those as well. That's all the plants I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm missing some things, but that's the general idea. I'm going to have about 3,000 square feet of growing space. 3,000 square feet is 0.07 acres. So that gives you an idea at the size of space. Definitely going to be a micro flower farm, but I really think everyone will be surprised at how many blooms you can pump out in that small of a space, especially if I'm able to manage it better and keep it watered and weeded and happy. Then the blooms will just keep coming out of there, and it's going to be so many flowers, and it's going to be so compacted into this beautiful space that is just bursting with blooms. So I cannot wait for this to all shape out. The third thing I've really been working on for this year is a budget. Now, I know that can sound kind of boring or not very fun, but I really find peace in having a budget and knowing what resources I need, and it helps me put a limit on what I'm spending or know when I have room to spend. And also having all that stuff planned out helps me divide the expenses out evenly throughout the year, and that just makes me feel a lot better. If you want more resources on budgeting and creating a farm plan, I really highly suggest checking out a podcast called The Dirt on Flowers. I'll put a link to that in the description below. They have a lot of planning tools and podcasts about budgeting and QuickBooks if you want to, or just creating. They have a 3-part series about creating a roadmap to your financial goal. And it's a spreadsheet. They have a download, and it's really, really good information. And I highly recommend checking those out. So shout out to Lindsay and Shannon on the Dirt on Flowers podcast. And I've created my roadmap. My initial goal for 2024 is not financial. It's just to get the garden created, the perennials planted, the systems in place, such as my rain barrels or irrigation, probably not irrigation, but like hoses to get the water from the rain barrels to the garden, which will be very easy on this new property because we are on a slope. So gravity will be on my side. So I'm hoping for a huge flush of dahlias in the fall, but I'm not really trying to get flowers before that. Thank you all so much for watching this video. The next one I publish will probably be under the name Birdhouse Blooms. So I hope to see you there, and thanks for following along so far. I hope that you all have a wonderful 2024 and are enjoying this time making your gardening plans and your financial planning for the next year. I'll see you next time. Bye.